How do we close our positions or sell all our stocks on eToro? To do this, we're going to run a test. We're going to close this Tesla position. But first, I'm going to set up a situation that you might be wondering about. What happens if I invest on top of what I've already invested? Right now, the stock market is closed, but what we can do is look for Tesla stocks, but in after-hours trading, like you can see here, which is this one. Let's invest, for example, in 10 shares, Here. Let's leave it at buying those 10 shares and then we'll click on invest again. But this time we're only going to buy 5 shares. Let's remember that right now I'm not making real purchases. I'm in the virtual portfolio, which is what I recommend the most to people who are just now creating their account, because this way you won't have to lose your money. Instead, you can run tests with the $100,000 virtual portfolio. Remember, I left the link in the description in case you have any questions, so you can go there to sign up and explore it. Let's head over to the portfolio. Do you remember that we bought 10 shares and then 5? Alright, we're getting there. But before that, let's show what the vast majority of you want. And it's just like closing the stocks. To do that, you come here where it says portfolio, go to the specific stock you want to sell, and click where it says close. If it doesn't show up here, click on the 3 dots and then click where it says close again. And here it will show up and you click on close all, because that's how you'll close the entire position. Now, let's move on to the next explanation, which is really the most interesting, and it's about what I do. Yes, I do. For example, I bought 5 shares in January, then another 10 in February, then another 2 in March, and so on. So look, do you remember that we just bought these shares here a moment ago? But first we bought 10 and then we bought 5. So when I click close and want to remove all the positions, notice that only this option to close all appears. What is going to happen? That I am going to have to close my entire position, all of which I have previously invested in full. That is to say, I can't just say, oh, I want to sell this first, unless we click here where it says or select specific positions. So let's click there. And what's going to happen is that it's going to take us directly to the breakdown of all the stocks we've bought. So, as we can see, first I made this purchase of 10 shares of Tesla and then 5 shares of Tesla. Don't worry, because let's say CFD, what happens is that we're good on time. Market position, but well, CFD. In practice, it can end up closing the same actions. Now then, what is going on here? That I can now close if I want. Let's imagine that you bought these 5 shares in January. It's March, and you want to close only these 5 shares. Well, there you have to come here and click where it says close. Now a completely different section will appear and it says current value, 243.57, the value at which we opened this operation. That is, the value of this share and then the return that we would have lost in this case, 6.44. Here we can completely close the operation, meaning that purchase we made in the example we gave in January. But now there's something else, and within this, we can also close part of the operation. In other words, maybe we don't want to sell all the shares we bought at 250, because maybe the stock is currently at 350, just to give an example. And what happens is that we want to keep part of this position. So what we can do is close for an amount. As we know, we have this time, 242.47. So we can, for example, withdraw no more than $100 from the value of these stocks, if that's what we want. If not, what we can do is determine it directly by the number of shares. So, here what we are going to do is govern ourselves by the number of shares in which we invest. For example, if we invest in 5 shares, which are the ones we had, well, in this case we have less. So what we can do is withdraw, for example, for shares or maybe just 2. So, I'm practically removing half of my position, but I'm maintaining the rest. And also, what I can do is just leave it as is, 2.5, meaning half of a share doesn't necessarily have to be a whole share. Because remember that eToro allows you to invest in fractional shares. So in this case, we will be selling 2.5 shares, which means we would be generating 122.03. Actually, not generating, but losing an amount of money. But then what we can do is use this type of strategies to get out of some positions and not lose as much. Or maybe get out when we're making a profit, but we have the certainty that in the future the stock will keep going up. So we don't want to lose that profit we could have in the future. So, in this case, we can do it. In this way, we're going to close the trade, and automatically this stock is sold, as we can see here. But we also have the other option, which is when we already have the shares from a specific date or a specific purchase. And we click to close the second one that appears here. And maybe we don't want to close half or anything like that, but we just want to withdraw our money. So we click to close the trade, and it will automatically sell. Now, remember that we sold this for half. That's why we have a portion left. The units end up being 2.50. That's why we have that left. So here, in that sense, we would already have this, and if we go back to our portfolio here, we would have a smaller part left. Clearly, because we withdrew part of this money. Once you've closed your trades, it will automatically reflect in the balance that appears here at the bottom. Below, you'll see the available cash, meaning the money that you've already withdrawn. In fact, let's close this last one. From these $122 that show up here, let's close it and see how, from $77,019, we're going to close now at this moment, $77,141.70. Here, in this case, as soon as we have this sold. Now we can go to the withdrawal button and take our money out of eToro directly if that's what we want, or if not, well, we can go back to Discover and find other investment options, and this is how we could sell or close our positions in